Welcome back to the Professor's Lab. I'm Professor V, and this is round one from a special league tournament where players could switch decks between rounds that happened at Die Hard Games on January 4th, 2023. If you didn't know, Die Hard League happens every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central at Die Hard Games, featuring casual and tournament play of whatever format anyone wants, really. More info in the description. League Challenge, Thursday, January 11th at 6 p.m. Central at Die Hard Games, and check out Pokemon's event locator for premier events at Die Hard Games such as League Challenges, League Cups, and pre-releases. Please hit that like button right quick. Subscribe to this channel. Ring the bell for notifications. Say what you need to say in the comments and all that other good free stuff. But anyways, let's get into this game where we have on the left Klawf, on the right Lost Giratina. Our Lost Giratina player is going first here, and they start out with that Battle VIP Pass item card. You can only play it on your first turn, but when you do, search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon and put them on your bench. Comfey, double Comfey were actually found here and put onto the bench. Starting off with Sableye, that is exactly what the Lost Zone needs to find. Have at least the 2 Comfey in play to get their engine rolling. Escape Rope to switch a Comfey into the active spot, and activating Flower Selecting here. Look at the top 2 cards. Send 1 to the Lost Zone. Grass Energy goes to the Lost Zone. The other card is kept. Energy is attached to the active Comfey just to retreat into the second Comfey. Second Flower Selecting going down here. Getting rid of a Mirage Gate, interesting, in favor of that Radiant Greninja. Yeah, I think that decision had to be made, most likely. Radiant Greninja will use its Concealed Cards ability here to discard an energy card and draw 2 cards. Very nice turn 1 we got going on for our Lost Giratina player here, as they finish things off by benching a Giratina V. Play will start on Klawf's side now. Let's see if they can match the great setup that our Lost Zone player had here. Our Klawf player's thinking things over. Wonder what's in the hand. I don't think there's anything like Battle VIP Pass in this deck. So they bench a Klawf, bench a Radiant Sneasler, and actually this one does play Battle VIP Pass. Battle VIP Pass and Nest Ball are played here. You guys know what the VIP Pass does. The Nest Ball lets you search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it onto the bench. So they are saying anything you can do with setup, I can do as good or better with all these Pokemon hitting the field here. So we're resolving the Battle VIP Pass and Nest Ball right now. Looks like Battle VIP Pass will find that Brute Bonnet and the Hisuian Electrode V, and the Nest Ball will find the Bidoof. Everyone is there. Yep. Pretty perfect setup we've got going on here. On the Klawf side as well. You guys should know the Klawf strategy by now. The Brute Bonnet, when it has the capsule tool attached to it, can poison both active Pokemon. Once Klawf is affected by a special condition, its Unhinged Scissors attack does 190 damage, minus 20 for the double turbo, 170. It looks like a Forest Seal Stone was attached to the Electrode V. That gives it the V Star Power ability, Star Alchemy, and it is activated, and Star Alchemy lets you search your deck for a card. Pick a card, any card. The card's going to depend on what's in hand. I was going to say double turbo is usually a target of the Forest Seal Stone in this deck, but it really just depends on what's in hand. If the hand is looking pretty dead, then maybe a supporter card will be found, or a way to draw cards. Just depends, and I don't have hand knowledge here. Either way, the double turbo energy was found. So that most likely means we're getting the attack here. Yep, with that Spicy Season Curry being played. That's an item card that burns your active Pokemon and heals 40 damage. So now Klawf is affected by a special condition. I'm actually going to pause things right quick and text this player that they need to start using burn and poison counters. So the Klawf is burned right now, so it's got its special condition on it, allowing its unhinged scissors attack to do ultimately 170 damage here, way more enough to KO the opposing Comfey. And actually going to boss's orders the Radiant Greninja and take the KO on it instead. Okay. And now flipping for the burn, it's heads, so Klawf is no longer burned, but 20 damage is taken no matter what during Pokemon Checkup. Play resumes on the Lost Zone side, starting things off with a flower selecting and getting rid of another Mirage Gate. Ouch. The deck does play 4, so not the end of the world, but it's not exactly what you want to see. Course Experiment is played next. That supporter card has you look at the top 5 cards of the deck, you keep 3 of them, and send the other 2 to the Lost Zone. Wow, double jet energy sent to the Lost Zone there. Those other 3 cards must be very important. Another Comfey is put onto the bench, jet energy attached to it, which brings it to the active spot. Now we're seeing a second flower selecting here. Let's do the top 2. Send the most useless card to the Lost Zone and keep the best card. How do you figure that out? Well, it depends on what's in your hand, what's in the deck, what's in the discard pile, what's in the Lost Zone, what's in the prize cards. All kinds of things to keep in mind with these Comfey decks and the Lost Zone engine. What do you guys think of the Lost Zone engine so far? Let me know in the comments, please. Switch cart sent to the Lost Zone off of that flower selecting, and a nest ball being played here. You guys know what that does. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it onto your bench. You cannot play nest ball if your bench is full. Just in case you didn't know. Alright, so our player is deciding what's the best Pokemon to get here. Radiant Greninja's in the discard pile. That's what we're missing from the board here. So another Giratina V can come down. We have enough Comfey. There's 3 in play. Sableye's already on the bench. I guess a Cramorant, yep, could come down and take a KO here. Yeah. So I think that's probably what I'd be going for, so long as it's the player has access to it. And they're really debating on this decision, though. Yeah, I don't think I'm too scared of the Giratina V getting KO'd here, though it's possible. But our player decides on that beautiful art Giratina V, the second one hitting the bench there. Either Cramorant's prized or they just have something else in mind. Either way, going to retreat manually into the third Comfey, and it will use its third and final flower selecting of the turn. Looking at the top 2 here and debating on which one to keep and which one to send to the Lost Zone. Our Lost Zone count is currently at 6. 7 now with Pat to the Peak being put into the Lost Zone. Yeah, that would shut off Radiant Hisuian Sneasler and its ability that has Pokemon that are poisoned take an extra 2 damage counters during Pokemon Checkup, but maybe not too relevant in this matchup. Counter Catcher being played there. Counter Catcher is an item card that if you're behind on prize cards, it pretty much acts like a boss's orders. You could bring a opponent's Pokemon from the bench into the active spot, and then pass after that boss's orders there. I mean, after that Counter Catcher there. Yeah, Counter Catcher, the thing with the most retreat cost. Brute Bonnet actually has 3 retreat, so yep, that's the target there. Going for a boss stall play here and passing things over. Town Store put into play. Bibarel evolved on the bench. Town Store being activated to search the deck for a tool card. We're bringing those switches to the front of the deck there. Which tool card to grab? The Ancient Booster Energy Capsule, of course. There is the tool that we need in order to activate Brute Bonnet's Toxic Powder ability. Next is Bibarel's Industrious Incisors ability to draw up to 5 cards. Looking for a way to retreat here. Double Turbo Energy attached to the bench Klawf, and Professor's Research being the supporter per turn, discarding the hand and drawing 7 new cards. Is there Switch or Escape Rope or other way to switch in the hand? I don't think I see it yet. Since the Brute Bonnet has 3 retreat, double turbo attach retreat is not possible. And it looks like we're just passing things over. We'll see after the Lost Zone is straightened out here. Oh no, just a burn. Okay, there we go. So Brute Bonnet has the ability Toxic Powder. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon has an Ancient Booster Energy Capsule attached, you may make both active Pokemon poisoned. So that was the move there. Toxic Powder, then pass. So our Comfey takes 3 damage counters in between turns, thanks to Radiant Hisuian Sneasel's Poison Peak ability during Pokemon Checkup. Put 2 more damage counters on your opponent's poison Pokemon. So both Pokemon are poisoned. This Brute Bonnet should have 1 damage counter on it, as it would take 1 from during Pokemon Checkup from poison. We'll see if that becomes relevant at all. Usually it's not, but our Lost Zone player is taking their turn now. Starting things off with flower selecting. Looking at the top 2, looks like Course's Experiment was 1 card. I didn't quite see the other choice. Maybe it was another supporter. We'll find out here in just a few moments. That Course Experiment sent to the Lost Zone. Okay, and it was the last card. Oh, I missed it. I don't think it was the Water Energy. We'll find out soon enough, though. Switch card. That card lets you switch your active Pokemon with 1 on the bench and heal 30 damage from that active Pokemon. Switch carding into that second Comfey, second flower selecting happening here. Giratina V-Star and Path to the Peak were the choices there. I think Path to the Peak either way being sent to the Lost Zone. Basic switch into the third Comfey. We're getting that Lost Zone nice and thick now. Third flower selecting. Looking at the top 2, keeping 1, sending the other to the Lost Zone. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the Lost Zone now. All the Lost Zone thresholds have been fulfilled, but at the cost of another Course Experiment. Mirage Gate being played here. That item card can only be played when there are 7 or more cards in the Lost Zone. When you play it, search your deck for 2 different basic energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. Psychic Energy going on to Sableye. Grass Energy going on to Giratina V. Sableye's Lost Mine is online. We'll see if that's what they're going to go for here. We must have a way to retreat out of the active spot. Attach energy to the active and retreat into that Sableye, and looks like we're gonna go for the Lost Mine. That attack can only be used if there are 10 or more cards in the Lost Zone, and when there are, put 12 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. Giratina V-Star evolving on the bench, and an Iono is being played here. Both players shuffle their hand, put it at the bottom of their deck, and then they each draw cards remaining equal to their remaining prize cards. So Klawf player gets 5 cards here, the Lost Zone player gets 6. Super Rod will allow our Lost Zone player to shuffle back into their deck some basic energy and Pokemon, up to 3. So 3 basic energy being shuffled back into the deck, 2 psychic and a water, I think. Keeping those Mirage Gates nice and online and the energy in the deck where they want to be. A prize card is drawn there. It looks like Bibarel was the target of Lost Mine, actually. Okay. So Sableye used Lost Mine, putting 12 damage counters on Bibarel, taking the KO, leaving that heavy retreat blue Brute Bonnet in the active spot. Play resumes on Klawf's side, where they play an Escape Rope. Escape Rope says your opponent chooses a new active from the bench first, then you do the same. Comfey put into the active spot. Klawf put into the active spot. Ultra Ball being played here to discard a Klawf and a Bidoof. Ultra Ball lets you search the deck for any Pokemon, as long as you discard those 2 cards, of course. It could be a basic, a stage 5, any Pokemon. Very good card we have in the format here. I see the Brute Bonnet on the bench. It still has the tool attached, so we do have the attack and the KO, ultimately. Hisuian Heavy Ball being debated. It actually is Spiritomb. I got confused there. Alright, so we're resolving Ultra Ball here, right? Yeah, Ultra Ball. Okay, seeing a Hisuian Heavy Ball be pulled out of the deck there. And there's the hand. And Spiritomb is found off of the Ultra Ball. So yeah, that Heavy Ball should still be back in the deck. Maybe things got mixed up a bit during the Ultra Ball search. But the Heavy Ball should definitely be in the deck, I believe. I'm sure it was an honest mistake. Either way, we'll just move forward with the game here. Hisuian Heavy Ball being played. When you play that card, you look at your prize cards, and you could switch the Heavy Ball with a Pokemon that you find there. It looks like Jirachi was the target of the Hisuian Heavy Ball. Okay, then we see the Brute Bonnet poisoning both active Pokemon. Now Klawf is affected by a special condition, and it can do 170 damage with its Unhinged Scissors attack to the opposing Comfey, taking the KO. Now our Lost Zone player has to check out what Jirachi does. It basically stops Sableye's attack. Lost Mine. Comfey being promoted into the active spot here. And play resumes on the Lost Giratina side. Nest Ball being played first to search the deck for a basic and put it into play. Onto the bench, of course. Cramorant is fetched out of the deck. It has the Lost Provisions ability, where if there are 4 more cards in the Lost Zone, it can spit instantly for 110 damage for free. So as long as there's a way to get Cramorant into the active spot, there is an attack and knockout happening. Giratina V-Star, the second one, evolved onto the bench there. Mirage Gate being played to search the deck for 2 different basic energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. Psychic going on to the Giratina V Star, and Water going on to the other Giratina V Star. They are ready to blow things up. The opponent has one 2-prizer in play, that Hisuian Electrode V. Chorus Experiment being played. Now, the Rainbow one, to search or to look at the top 5 cards of the deck, keep 3 of them, and send 2 to the Lost Zone. Pretty much useless Manaphy and Battle VIP Pass are easy choices there to hit the Lost Zone. Comfey uses Flower Selecting to look at the top 2, sending a Nest Ball into the Lost Zone, keeping the other card in hand. And are we looking for a way to retreat? I would imagine it's in hand, since the Mirage Gate attached to the bench only. There we go. There's a Grass Energy in hand, attached to the active to retreat into Cramorant. Spits innocently for free, taking the KO on the opposing Klawf. Klawf promoted into the active spot. Play resumes on Klawf's side. Our Klawf player is checking the discard pile there to see what resources are spent before playing a Professor's Research to discard the hand and draw 7 fresh new cards. Let's see, there is an attack and a KO ultimately lined up here. So our player just has to set up for next turn. Let's see, we obviously have the Electrode V in hand. I think I see a Bibarel. Can't tell exactly what the other cards are here, but looks like there's nothing left to do but to take the KO on the Cramorant. Of course, that happens, remember, with Brute Bonnet poisoning both active Pokemon. So that way Klawf's Unhinged Scissors attack is swinging for max damage. 170 thanks for the double turbo energy. More than enough to take the KO on the opposing Cramorant. And now our Lost Zone player has to promote a new active Pokemon. Usually it's the Comfey, but just depends if there's a way to retreat in hand. They still have not promoted an active Pokemon. You definitely have to do that before drawing a card. I'm sure it was just getting mixed up again here. Honest mistake. Our opponent seems okay with it, so we'll go ahead and move forward in this special Thursday night tournament. Town Store, I believe, is being activated here to search the deck for a tool card, but more than likely searching are just being used to see what's in the deck, as the Town Store's failed here. And let's see what else our Lost Zone player has. Water Energy attached to the more so powered up Giratina V Star. It's fully powered and ready to over KO the opponent's Pokemon. Escape Rope now being played. The opponent has to promote a new active Pokemon first. And our Lost Giratina player is really hoping the Hisuian Electrode is put in the active spot so they can jump ahead in the prize trade. Jirachi also would be a juicy target, so that way Sableye Lost Mine can be back online. Hisuian Radiant Sneasler is probably the promotion here, but no, actually going for the Jirachi. Okay. Sacrifice the Jirachi. That still should be in the prize cards, I think. If I'm tripping and wrong, just let me know in the comments. Alright. Sableye is actually put into the active spot here. So now I'm going to actually have to check and see, do some research in the professor's lab and see what Jirachi's ability actually says. Maybe it only blocks benched Pokemon, or blocks the damage counters from bench Pokemon. Alright, Jirachi has the Stellar Veil ability. Prevent all damage counters from being placed on your bench Pokemon by effects of attacks used by your opponent's basic Pokemon. Alright, so Sableye can take the KO on the opposing Jirachi. Path to the Peak being put into play, and Roxanne being the supporter for turn. Roxanne, you can only play it if your opponent has 3 or less prize cards remaining. When you do, both players shuffle their hand into their deck. The opponent gets 2 cards, you get 6. One of the first more powerful comeback cards we've seen in the recent standard format, at least, before Iono. Alright, Sableye uses Lost Mind to put 7 damage counters on the opposing Jirachi, taking the KO on it. Radiant Sneasler is promoted into the active spot. Its ability is shut down right now thanks to Path to the Peak. Another escape rope being played here. The opponent promotes a Comfey, and a Klawf is promoted, followed by a Professor's Research, discarding the hand and drawing 7 cards. Super Rod being played to shuffle back into the deck from the discard pile 3 Pokemon here. Klawf, Brute Bonnet, and Jirachi. Nest Ball instantly being played from the hand to bring the Jirachi back onto the bench. Bravery Charm giving plus 50 HP to that active Klawf. Brute Bonnet poisoning both active Pokemon. Now Klawf can swing for big damage, taking the KO on the opposing Comfey. Klawf should be poisoned and should have another damage counter added to the total here, but we'll see if it ends up mattering as our opponent promotes a Comfey and starts things off with Flower Selecting, sending a Psychic Energy to the Lost Zone, keeping the other card. And Super Rod being played now to shuffle back into the deck from the discard pile a Grass Energy, a Cramorant, and a Comfey. Yes, we got more cards in the deck, less deck out potential. Jet Energy being attached to the powered up bench Giratina V-Star to bring it into the active spot. Counter Catcher being played, bringing that Hisuian Electrode V into the active spot. Exactly what we want to see happening here, followed by a Roxanne. And you guys remember what that one does. That has both players shuffle their hand into their deck. The Roxanne player gets 6 cards from the top, and the opponent gets 2. We'll go ahead and wait for our opponent to resolve this Roxanne here, or for the Klawf player, excuse me, to resolve the Roxanne. 2 cards, and then a Star Requiem, I believe is the Giratina's V-Star power attack, where it just knocks out whatever is in front of it. Doesn't matter how much HP there is, just the opponent's Pokemon is knocked out. So Hisuian Electrode V goes down, and here we are in this end game. 2 prize cards versus 1. As Boss's Orders is played, a more defensive Boss's Orders played to bring up the bench Hisuian V-Star. Brute Bonnet poisons both active Pokemon, and the Klawf will swing for effectively 180 thanks to the poison damage. Once again, Klawf should be poisoned and have another damage counter added to its total. Grass Energy being attached to the active Giratina V-Star. Fulfilling its retreat cost of 2, it manually retreats into the benched Giratina V-Star that has more energy, and Lost Impact is used. 280 damage, put 2 energy attached to your Pokemon in the Lost Zone, taking the KO on the opposing Klawf, and the final prize card of the game. What a way to kick off our special tournament here. What do you guys think of this video and the commentary? Please let me know in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time in the Professor's Lab.